Deepwoken has always been one of the best games on Roblox, but we all already knew that. Just look at this, and this, and this. Okay. Deepwoken might not be very well balanced at times, but that's hard to do, so give the devs a little bit of credit for their hard work. Before we get into it, make sure to subscribe, because only about 20% of the people watching this are actually subscribed, so make sure to press that red button and turn it gray. Now let's get into it. Deepwoken has always and still does have issues with balancing. One of the longest persisting issues with Deepwoken balancing is venting. I know a lot of you like venting, but the only reason you like it is because it can essentially stop you from taking more than a singular hit at a time, regardless of how hard you deserve to be punished. Venting, in my opinion, is one of the most infuriating mechanics in Deepwoken right now, because I've been in fights where people will vent twice back to back, and then again like 12 seconds later because of how easy it is to get tempo. It's so bad that people are actually utilizing venting mid-combo to extend their combos because you can't really do anything about venting since it's unreactable. Venting is especially annoying because it's meant to be a get-out-of-jail-free card that's used scarcely to prevent you from taking too much damage at one time. Instead, it can be spammed relatively easily, and it shouldn't work like that. And I know that if you predict that and parry the vent, you get a free hit, but that doesn't make it balanced when the difference in effort inputted to get the initial hit versus pressing G on your keyboard and then predicting that singular G press is heavily favored towards the opposition in any fight. So venting definitely needs a lot of revisions, because in its current state, it's a pretty broken game mechanic that people are using offensively when it's supposed to be a purely defensive mechanic meant to get you out of bad situations. Another issue is assassination combos. They still exist. This clip was made like 2 weeks ago. They nerfed assassinations, but they didn't add any damage reduction when you're actually on the floor, so you can still lose your entire health bar in the time you're on the ground from the initial assassination. Which brings me to the fact that Deepwoken meta has almost no reason to shift ever due to balancing, but instead shifts because the Deepwoken players don't understand the balancing occurring onto their builds. Assassination combos are no longer meta, and yet they still work just as effectively as you just saw in the clip there. The only reason they aren't being abused nearly as much anymore is because it got nerfed, and Deepwoken players are just kinda dumb. Okay, not kinda, you guys are fucking stupid. Instead of testing the limits of nerfs to see the difference in strength in your builds, you guys would rather drop your build because of a nerf that doesn't actually matter. Another great example of the slight nerf to irrelevancy combo is Grand Sudaruska, the ice legendary weapon. A nerf to its scaling, which lowered its total effective damage by 5, left it completely irrelevant after the nerf. For reference, the amount of hits it would take to kill a 550 health build, which is the current max in Deepwoken, before the nerf, is 10 hits. And after the nerf, it's about 11, or 10.6. Accounting for the physical armor of Ignition Deep Delver, which is the current most popular armor in the game, pre-nerf it would take 14 hits, and post-nerf it would take 14.4 hits. The difference in hitting someone is less than a singular hit of damage, and yet the weapon got dropped. It's no longer even close to being meta, and this matters even less when you account for the fact that mantras exist, and you're not only going to be M1ing in fights. Look at all of you stupid fucking monkeys who are saying Gran got gutted as if the nerf matters because it was negligible at best. I hate Deepwoken players so much, and this is why. You all flock to the same bullshit metas, even though the builds used a year ago are still just as viable and usable as the current build now, and the only difference would be that you have to replace your melee weapon. You wanna know why? Because the devs are fucking geniuses at nerfing things without nerfing them. Nothing has changed, nothing has ever changed, and yet the meta shifts every few weeks to months because they flood the patch notes with worthless nerfs that don't change a single thing about the game, its interactions, the PvP, or even the PvE. You watching this right now, tell me when the last time you saw someone using Ice Skate was. Put it in the comments right now. Probably not very recently, and if it was, it's pretty rare to see now, especially in the overworld because, you know, everyone's in Chime. But do you even remember what the nerf to Ice Skate was? No, you don't. unless you use Frost Draw, because those guys, they hold a grudge for literally everything that happens to their stupid attunement. They decided to nerf the ether consumption and made it so you can't gain ether while using it. All they did was make it so you can't use it infinitely. Made it relatively more balanced, even though it still isn't. It's still relatively OP in the overworld and depths, yet nobody's using it anymore. You know what else was nerfed? Crystallization Path. But guess what? It doesn't even work. St. J actually still works with most of your mantras if you have Crystallization Path and St. J in one build. And you know what else nobody just fucking uses? Frost Draw. Who the fuck is using Frost Draw anymore? Nobody. Not a soul. And you typing down there right now. Well actually, Radiator, I use Frost Draw. You're not special. You're different. That doesn't make you special. You are rare, not special. You're not important. What you aren't is important. You guys are all sheep, and you deserve what happens to you. You play Deepwoken. You get mad because your build gets nerfed. You get stressed out making a new one. And when you don't need to, and wiping the ones that fall out of the meta, and you repeat this cycle, and I hate you for it. Because you're torturing yourself. You have no reason to wipe any builds, because guess what? The build that you made when this game first came out, you would probably have a similar performance to as the builds you're using now, because this game requires a lot more skill than people actually give it credit for. Min-maxing doesn't matter anywhere near as much as a lot of you think, and you continue to do it. You go tap dancer, you get all these talents on your builds, and they don't matter. Like, actually, let's be real. Tell me what you're getting tap dancer for. Oh, so I can do the double dash fake, right? Who cares? Realistically, who cares? At best, tap dancer is going to get you a dodge instead of a parry, because when you dodge cancel, you're just gonna parry the attack anyway, or you're going to dodge cancel again. There is no difference between having tap dancer and not having tap dancer that actually matters, and yet people still go for it. You are what's wrong with Deepwoken. This game may be poorly balanced at times with insane combos, one-shot combos, and stuff like massive mantras, and just like whoever the new I8, whatever the new dev's name is, he's terrible. But you are the reason this game keeps getting worse, because you all let it get worse. You say everything fun gets gutted, but did you even read the patch notes? Do you even know what they nerfed? Did you even try to find out how much of a difference it makes? No, you didn't, and yet you still wiped your builds and made new ones. You still dropped weapons because of a 0.2% damage nerf that doesn't even make a difference in a fight. Deepwoken isn't always skill versus skill, but Deepwoken will forever be stupidity versus the updates that the devs push out, because you are all unaware of how little every single patch makes. And I hate you for it. Subscribe. This video turned into a pretty unhinged rant, but if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, and give me more things to rant about if you like this style of content. I'm hungry. Buy a YouTube membership. They're $5 minimum. And have a great day. Goodbye.